Well, you guys know I've made countless wishlist videos for this game, and for today this will be my last one, especially that I'm going to try and name almost every single possible thing that I want in Resident Evil 9. Now that may be an over-exaggerated claim, but I want this video to be pretty long, so that is the main goal. And I'll give you guys my fair share in explanations. So I hope you all don't mind. There may be some things you guys might not like, and that's totally fine, as this is just off the mind of one person that just runs a really small YouTube channel. So before we do that, be sure to leave a like on this video to help it reach the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the near future. And now let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is something a lot of people will ask before the reveal, and it's involving the camera. In Resident Evil Village, it had the first person camera perspective off launch. A year later, with the Winter's Expansion DLC, we got third person implemented, making it the first RE game having both cameras in the game. I believe with RE9, or what I want, is both to be available off launch. And if we go strictly off of how long this game has supposedly been in development since 2018, then there definitely is a real possibility it can happen. One camera to bump up the horrors, and the other for the action, and another reason or thing I want in this video will be correlated with this point. That'll be later on though. I think to me this is one of, if not the most important thing that I want. I think this cliffhanger Capcom has left us is too big to pass up on, and the realm of possibilities that can happen with this to me can have so many ideas. I think Capcom can really execute, if they really want to, extremely well with the BSAA plot. Of all the cliffhangers they have left us on, this is the biggest one. It's interesting because I remember around the time Village was settled in, we wanted that actual plot to be the RE8 DLC. Let's not forget, the DLC was never supposed to be in development. It had no plans to be made, but thanks to the fans, it happened. If Capcom was to abandon this entire thing and make a whole new plot, and this thing goes on without any sort of answers as to what's really going on in the BSAA, I think Capcom would fumble big time. Especially with the trilogy thing that was going on with the Winters. This can kind of be that with the mold or something new that can connect to Village and 7. If that makes sense. For my next thing, we haven't gotten this in a Resident Evil game excluding remakes in a very long time. That being either two campaigns or A and B scenarios. Either or, I will take those in a heartbeat. If it is a single player story, I am fine with that as well. But if it is what I want in RE9, I want two stories to play. Especially that this is the most ambitious game in a very long time for Resident Evil. Now obviously every game is like that no matter what, but if it is true of how much time and dedication and development has been put into this game, I think we are in for something big, and I ultimately believe that will be the case. It's been a while, and it's interesting to see different perspectives and all that. One story could be horror central and the other could be action, who knows, maybe the two stories could be a good blend of both, action and horror. It's been a lot of single player games recently, and the only RE Engine game that has taken advantage of the two stories or A and B scenarios is RE2 Remake. I'd like to see something like that again, especially for a new mainline game. Some people might not like this next one, but I am going to stand on it nonetheless. I don't want to see any more merchants in a Resident Evil game for a while. Sure, it is very addicting for me to upgrade my weapons and sell treasure, it's really good. It's just I think it has ran its course from now getting that stuff in back-to-back games, because we know inevitably it's coming back with RE5 Remake. I don't mind original stock weapons having to find parts to make weapons more powerful and useful. That to me should be the approach, just like 2 and 3 Remake. As much as I love the Merchant and the Duke in their respective games, I can wait patiently for another one in another game. And maybe there are other ways you can unlock infinite ammo and other bonus weapons and all that other stuff. Again, this is another thing I don't want, and this to me has ran its course completely. Just as much as my previous point with the Merchants and all that, Castle and Villages, I'm good. If I do see another village or castle, I'm just going to assume Capcom doesn't have a more creative setting in their drafts. I wouldn't mind seeing a mansion or a ghost town. A forest would be pretty crazy to see, or a dark laboratory or hospital. Something around those realms, but obviously in Capcom fashion in the RE engine, turn the lights off. Don't get me wrong, Castle Dimitrescu is amazing and a breathtaking atmosphere to soak in. And same goes for Salazar's Castle and along with their villages. I don't want it for a third straight game. Something a little bit more modern. I hope Capcom can cook up something special in that department. If you thought this streak of me not wanting things was going to end, you thought wrong, but don't worry, I think this is the last thing involving this hatred from my soul, even though I don't think it is. I'm probably over-exaggerating, but if there was anything I don't want as well, it's obviously, in my opinion, overrated in the sense of how often Capcom has used this mechanic in their games. It's stalkers. I don't want any more. It's more so about the RE Engine games using this gameplay feature. We had 7 with Jack, even though he was pretty solid. 2 Remake was great. 3 Remake was, I'm not going to say anything. And Village, in my opinion, wasn't executed too well. I thought Lady D wasn't too threatening and was relatively easy to run past, and more importantly, I didn't really put myself in shitty positions to where Lady D could kill me. But anywho, I don't want this anymore. I think it's overused in many aspects. We had like a small taste of stalking when it came to the U3 Verdugo in the Separate Ways DLC. And even that weird monster in the RE8 DLC with that big ass hammer or whatever. I think we're just good on that stuff, or maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe there will be BOWs that could put a lot of fear into us, but again, we shall see. I made a video about what the gameplay could be like for this game, or essentially what I would like to see. Now, I have no idea if my opinion on this has necessarily changed from then, but this is where I officially stand. If you are going to blend in horror and some elements of action with this game, I want a combination of RE2 Remake and 4 Remake's gameplay. Now listen, Resident Evil has now reached a stage where the series and its games are more than just survival horror, and it's action games as well, which for some is hard to accept, but it's fine with me. I think I've consumed enough of RE to know that. I'm not trying to belittle any of you guys, it's just something I'm accepting or already have. Now in terms of gameplay, I think the parry should not be a thing. I think 4 Remake heavily emphasized the knife as a weapon and its mechanics. However, I don't think that should be the case with 9 or, dare I say, any other game in the future. The original 4 was big with the knife along with its remake. That's what I believe. There should be some slow moments that will make you feel the horror of how RE2 Remake was able to accomplish, and 4 Remake because let's face it, the characters' combat has evolved as time went on. You can't just simply nerf them, but there are ways where you can emphasize horror and execute really well. I'm not saying you gotta put a stalker in there, but there could be something that can work, and I hope Capcom can do something about that. I think to me having a returning villain for this game is such a perfect opportunity to take advantage of. Ever since Albert Wesker died, we have not gotten a villain that has lasted longer than just one game. Simmons, in my opinion, was terrible. Evelyn was okay, and Miranda, unfortunately for me, has become very forgettable. There are more than one Resident Evil villains that can return, whether if Capcom decides to use all or just one. That main candidate being Alex Wesker, of course, who we know should be utilized sooner rather than later. Raymond and Jessica are still out there, and they have connections, no pun intended, with what I want the plot to be about. The closest thing we got to a returning villain was Maria Gomez in the CGI movies with Vendetta and Death Island, and she wasn't even the main villain in either. I think the Wesker name alone can bring some good marketing and storytelling for the game if Capcom wants to do so. Now I'm obviously going to address the elephant in the room, which I think a vast majority of fans want, and it's more so of how long it has been, and if this person does not show up in this game, then the outcry for this character is only going to get worse, because it's been since 2009 that Jill has appeared in a game. Now, a lot of this list is based off of ifs and really big ifs, and if obviously the plot is what I want it to be about, this is the perfect game for her to come back. There is so much stuff I want to know about her stance on Blue Umbrella, Chris going rogue, and the BSAA using bioweapons. It's all a big mystery at this point for her. Is there going to be a villain that has a connection to Jill, or are we just going to witness another sideline and have to wait maybe another 3 years for the next game to be revealed that isn't a remake? We'll see, but I can only hope, and it's also just to get it over with, because I'm not going to lie with you guys, I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of mentioning Jill's comeback in my videos. No offense. If there is one thing I personally think that Capcom should listen to the fans about, the next mainline game specifically, it's bringing Jill back without question. Now, if you do remember a while back, there was a rumor saying that this game was going to be a closing chapter for some characters, and it made me wonder who, which led to other videos I have made. But then, as I was typing the script, it made me realize that I kind of agree with that rumor, and I honestly hope it does come to fruition. Now, why do I say that? Character age is obviously one of the most common reasons why. I'm not saying they should go because I don't want to play with a bunch of people that need to be in a retirement home, but it's more so about how these characters are probably getting to the point where they just want to escape from it all. Chris wanted to retire from the field during RE6 and give Piers the keys of being captain. Leon was questioning what was the point of fighting the living dead over and over, which is pretty much all he does with his life since Resident Evil Vendetta, since he said that. Jill just came back from rehab and was held captive and was under Wesker's control for 3 years, which obviously has to leave some sort of psychological after effects, and maybe it gives her a reason to escape. Clara, on the other hand, I don't know. Ada can only accept jobs only for so long. They will all want to escape soon, it's just a matter of when. And I do believe some, not all stories should be closed with this upcoming game. Now for the last one, this is minor. You know how you click the start button and a voice says the game's title name and all that? I miss that, and I don't want to deal with a loud ass sound like the remakes have done, and then have to buy the original soundtrack just to hear the name of the title. I just want it to naturally happen, especially with this game. 7 and 8 was a nothing burger as well. And I might as well add this to make it longer, but I want this to be the biggest RE game, story-wise. I think the story of RE Village is kind of souring on me a little bit. Resident Evil really isn't known for its story, but I hope something big happens involving it. I don't know when this game will be revealed. I don't know who is going to be in it, and I'm really glad Capcom has kept this under wraps, because I want to be surprised. If it is a completely new story, then this video will go right into the trash, and the BSAA plot will belong with the many cliffhangers that the series has left us on, and is hanging out to dry. I just hope that doesn't become true. If there is anything that you want in this game that has something to do with my list, or anything not related, feel free to voice it in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like on this video to help reach the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe and all that other good stuff. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, and much love.